Hi everybody, and welcome to video for topic 6, solving literal equations. So we've been solving all kinds of equations before. Now we are going to look at some that have more than one variable. So if you look at this first equation, we have a equals bh over 2. And if we said to solve that, you wouldn't really know what to do because there are 3 different variables. Right now, this equation is solved for a. That means we have a equals on one side of the equation. But what if I asked you to solve for b? We would need b equals on one side, something on the other side. So what we can do is apply what we did before, where we work from the non-variable term first, and then either divide or multiply at the end to get the variable alone. So if we have a equals bh over 2, I need to identify what I'm solving for. I am solving for b, so I don't want to touch b until the very end. The first thing that I can do, I need to move that 2. In order to do that, I need to multiply because it's the opposite operation. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So from there, I have 2 times a equals, the 2 and the 2 cancel, and I have b times h. Now remember, I want to get b by itself. So if b is being multiplied by h, in order to get b alone, I can divide both sides by h to get my final answer of 2a over h is equal to b. I got b on one side of the equation, and that's what I wanted, because I said solve for b. So let's try that with these examples down here. The directions say to solve for y. So I need to get y by itself. So the only thing that is standing in the way is the non-variable term, is that plus 10. So again, I'm going to apply the opposite operation, which is subtracting 10, to that equation. I'm left with 5x, 4 minus 10 is negative 6, equals y, and the positive 10 and the negative 10 cancel. So that is my final answer. I can put a circle around it. I got y by itself on one side of the equation. Let's try the second one. First, we got to identify where y is so we know where to look. Y is here, so the only thing standing in the way is that minus 3. So let's use the opposite operation, which is to add 3, to get y by itself. On the left side, we're left with 6x. Negative 12 plus 3 is negative 9 equals y, and the negative 3 and positive 3 cancel. Once again, I have my goal of y by itself. So go ahead and try these 2 u-tries right now. Pause the video and work on those on your own. Alright, let's try a couple more. We might have to do different things. So if we look at number 1, it says to solve it for k. When it says to solve for k, that means we want k equals. So this one's kind of weird because we've got a negative k on one side and a k on the other. So we need to get k on one side. So in order to do that, we must apply the opposite operation. So we have a negative k. I want to move it to go with the other k. We are left with d equals 1k plus 1k is 2k. And while that might have seemed a little counterproductive, it is not, because we needed the k's by itself. This technically has k equals, but there's still a k on this side, so that step was necessary. Now to get k by itself, we must undo that 2 being multiplied. So in order to do that, we will divide both sides by 2. Once we do that, we are left with d over 2 equals 2 divided by 2 is 1, so k is by itself on one side of the equation, so that is our final answer. Let's look at number 3. We have 2w minus 4y equals 8. It says to solve for w, so we need to get w by itself. We've got a bunch of things over here, so the first thing we need to move is what is not attached to the w. So that means we're going to move the 4y. To move it, we have to add it, because that is the opposite operation. Once I have that, I'm left with 2w, negative 4y and positive 4y cancel, equals 8 plus 4y. Now remember, 8 and 4y are not like terms, so we may not combine them. The next step is to get rid of the number being multiplied by w. We need w by itself. Since 2 is being multiplied by w, we divide, and whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. Remember, see that I'm dividing that whole side by 2. If we wanted to write that in a different way, we could divide every term by 2. And I like that way better. Remind myself that we're dividing every single term on the other side by 2. What we have left is 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I get w by itself, which is what I wanted. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 4y divided by 2, if we cancel out, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so I'm left with plus 2 times y. Go ahead and you do numbers 2 and number 4. And this is the end of the first video. There will be a second video.